Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. They've got salt, they've got sand, they've got mulch, and they have just about anything else you need to get you through the winter. And pretty soon, they'll have everything you need to get you started this spring. So head over to Omni 6317561125. Nowhere can you find better prices, and the website is omnitruevalue.com. Okay, here comes the next storm system. It's going to be quick. We're going to get it in, and then we're going to kick it out. And right now, as of 2 o'clock Eastern Time, we have winter storm watches up for Maine, New Hampshire, and most but not all of Vermont, and also for central and western Massachusetts. We have winter storm watches up for northern New York, and we also have winter storm watches up for the Catskills. Winter weather advisories surround those in northeastern Pennsylvania, let's call it 3.5 counties of northwest New Jersey, and Orange County in the Hudson Valley. This is going to be one of these situations that if you are west of the Hudson River, west of I-87, you stand to get a much better chance for snow than if you are east of I-87. Notice, uh, at least for now, and I don't anticipate any winter weather advisories going up for southeastern New England, for Rhode Island, the southern half of Connecticut. Possibly we might see some advisories for the north. I don't see advisories for Long Island, the lower Hudson Valley, for northeast New Jersey, and the rest of central and southern New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania, and so on. We do have them up for south central Pennsylvania, down into western Maryland, and into the mountains of West Virginia. There are winter storm warnings up for this system that extend from eastern New Mexico and across northwest Texas, throughout much of Oklahoma, northwest Missouri, northwestern Arkansas, southeastern Missouri, most of central and parts of southern Illinois, in through a good chunk of the state of Indiana, and west and northwest Ohio, with advisories surrounding those areas as well. We are seeing the system gather some energy, and it's got a rather vigorous upper air shortwave trough. It's actually a cutoff low. That is, you see the rotation on the satellite loop moving out of New Mexico into West Texas, and that's triggering off some thunderstorms and also some severe weather that we need to call attention to. The Storm Prediction Center has an enhanced risk today for thunderstorms from the coastal bend of Texas, southern Louisiana, southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, and the westernmost part of the Florida Panhandle, in a narrow area of marginal and a narrow area of slight risk. And that, by the way, comes with a 10% tornado risk in that enhanced zone. And just looking ahead to tomorrow, we mentioned yesterday they might do a slight risk, and indeed they are, for eastern North and South Carolina, the southern half of Georgia, and a good chunk of the Florida Panhandle, and that is coming with a 2 to 5% tornado risk. So we're going to want to pay attention to that. Now, setting up for the system for tomorrow, I want to point out that it's going to be a wet one when it's all said and done, and since for many areas, especially down near the coast, we're looking at the bulk of, not all of this precipitation is rain, anywhere from an inch to as much as an inch and a half, maybe even some inch and 3/4 of a quarter amounts in southeast Connecticut and Rhode Island, and in eastern Long Island, also 1 inch amounts extending up into eastern Massachusetts, and then the amounts also grow larger as we move our way up through the great state of Maine. And with respect to snowfall, now I looked at the dayside guidance, and I have to tell you that we'll probably might not have to push that uh, line where we start to get into the coating to an inch area a little bit further to the northwest. I think other than maybe some snow mixed in at the coast at the start, and for places like New York City and maybe for parts of central New Jersey, where there'll be a few snowflakes and raindrops flying in the mix, I think it's going to be mostly rain there. And I'm not we'll go with these amounts for now. We might see some areas nudge down a little bit. Some areas may wind up actually getting nudged up a little bit. And you see how the numbers play out here. You have to really go north of Route 84 to start finding amounts of 4 inches or more. In the Catskills, it could be 6 plus. In northeastern Pennsylvania, it could be several inches. Maybe a few spots get up to about 4 or 5. And then that extends over into central PA where we're seeing some 4, 5, and 6 inch amounts. And this is just going to be moving too fast. And also the fact that there's just no real cold air. There is going to be a little bit of cold air coming down tonight into tomorrow morning, but it's not enough. And that has really been the story about the winter. If it finds a way not to snow, it's going to succeed. In the meantime, here's the WPC liquid 7-day liquid precip amounts. Large numbers, 1.5 to 3 inches in parts of the Gulf states, 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches in parts of the Northeast, and somewhere in between in the Mid-Atlantic states. Not a whole lot happening out in the western U.S., but we are going to see some big snows in the Cascades and in the Sierra Nevadas. And on the snow forecast probability for at least 2 inches, WPC's kind of nudged this up a little bit further northwest. Not by a lot, but still there. You have to go into northwest New Jersey. The darker blue is 40%, 40% chance. So you see where the darker blue runs. It's actually a little bit more north and west to reflect the advisories that are up in parts of south central Pennsylvania. They look to be, the 2 inch line looks to be a little bit further northwest here. Same for northern New Jersey. North of Route 84, north of Route 84 generally in Connecticut, and then swinging on into eastern Massachusetts. Might have to nudge that 2 inch line a little bit further to the west and put a little bit less down in areas in and around Boston, for example. But further inland, you're talking 80 to 100% once you go to northeast PA, north of 84, and particularly when you head up well into upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and into Maine. And we'll just real quick show the probability of at least 4. And you see it here. 50% gets down into northeast PA, also into central and western PA. In the Catskills, we're seeing it, and you have to go up into central and western Massachusetts, really, to see a 50% higher probability of at least 4, and 80 to 100% as you go just north of there, north of I-90 in New York State, and up in Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. This is going to be another day in northern New England when it comes to snow. So the low is too far west. The high that's trying to build down to the north is just not strong enough. Some cold air bleeds, but not enough, and not enough of a high to keep this low from taking a track pretty far to the left. With a low near Louisville by tomorrow afternoon, we'll probably see some snow break out by then during the morning hours across eastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, into southern New York, maybe a little bit of a mix on Long Island. Then it goes over to rain by evening. The low is over Lake Erie. We get into heavy rain tomorrow night. That moves out by Thursday morning. It's mostly done. Takes a little longer to get out of the way in southeastern New England. And then I think we're going to be dry and colder for Friday. Friday might be a rare day around here. We'll probably see temperatures not get much out of the 30s. And then over the weekend, another front with a little bit of cold air behind that will approach on Saturday. Kind of falls apart before it gets here as far as precipitation is concerned. It also leaves more of the cold air back through the Great Lakes and up in the northern plains. And we'll probably have to wait for another storm system to come along and try to drag that down. Here's one on Sunday moving into the Mississippi and Ohio Valley. That may clip us with some precipitation. Most areas, I think, may wind up getting rain Sunday night into Monday, and then we'll start to turn colder again after that, only to be followed by another low that wants to go to the Great Lakes for the middle part of next week. And the models are still showing that after that one goes by, we may get a shot of very cold air for a couple of days as a big high comes down from Canada. But of course, for the snow lovers, when that happens, guess what? There are no storms around. Weather in 5 brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 is the phone number, and the website omnitruevalue.com. So we'll play around with the models tonight. I will be soloing on the Joe and Joe Weather Show at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope to see you then.